Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm doing my WWE Night of Champions 2013 review, the WWE Night of Champions 2000 and pay-per-view, which came from us from Detroit, Michigan. And to be honest, I was really disappointed in this pay-per-view, guys. Coming into the pay-per-view, I was actually not looking forward to it. I didn't think there was that much build towards any really good matches, apart from probably the Randy Orton and Daniel Bryan match, of course, and the CM Punk and Paul Heyman and Curtis Axel match. Apart from them two matches, which were built really well, apart from that, the other matches were not built hardly at all, and it really showed in the pay-per-view. The pay-per-view quality was really poor. The matches itself just didn't look like they'd been forced out properly, as if they hadn't been planned backstage before what they were going to do. There's a lot of botching. The match quality, the wrestling wasn't that good, and I hate to say it, but there was a missing ingredient within the pay-per-view. It felt like we were missing somebody like John Cena, a little pizzazz which we were missing during this pay-per-view. It just didn't feel like a proper WWE pay-per-view which we're used to seeing. For the past few months we've been seeing some great pay-per-views. We had a great SummerSlam 2013, we had a great Money in the Bank, we had a great WWE Payback for the debut of Payback, but the Night of Champions just didn't cut it for me. I just thought it was a really bad pay-per-view, and I hate to say it, but I actually considered going to bed watching this pay-per-view, which I've never done in my life before. And honestly, I actually considered this to be my worst watch pay-per-view live. I just did not think it was good whatsoever. It was just so disappointing. But before I get onto this review, remember to like the video in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Comment your favourite match. Personally, I thought one of the best matches of the night was the Curtis Axel, Paul Heyman and CM Punk match. The Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton match is quite disappointing, but I'm going to do my whole review in this video, of course. Remember to like, comment and subscribe, and tweet me at Tom Cushnie for a link to the full show in 720p HD, of course. So let's get on to this review, my highly anticipated Night of Champions or pay-per-view reviews. Subscribe for WWE reviews for every single WWE show. So for the first match, we had the kickoff match, and just to give you a heads up, if you do actually watch the kickoff show on YouTube, scrap that idea and watch it on WWE.com, because the WWE.com kickoff show is about, no joke, about 30 seconds in front of the YouTube show. So if you're on Twitter at the same time, the results get spoiled straight away, because I watched it on the actual WWE.com and I was surprised how much in front it was compared to the actual YouTube show. But anyway, the match itself was actually okay. Now, I predicted that the Usos were going to win this match for obvious reasons, but they decided to go with the primetime players. Now, we obviously had this panel at the start of the show and at the end of the show for the kickoff show, talking about all the matches, hyping the matches up, yada. Nobody listens to what they have to say, but honestly, I just wanted to get this match over and done with, because I wasn't really looking forward to it. But actually, I thought it was actually pretty entertaining. I did kind of enjoy the actual match they showed, and honestly, it was actually okay. But before the match, we had Paul Heyman talking with Brad Maddox backstage, and he got himself a bit of a disaster by making himself get booked in a no disqualification match instead of it being normal rules, because Paul Heyman basically announced that he was going to get himself disqualified during the match when Curtis Axel got eliminated by punching the referee in the face. So Brad Maddox made it a no disqualification match. So technically, Paul Heyman was kind of burying his own client here, Curtis Axel, by saying, well, I know Curtis Axel is going to get defeated by CM Punk. So I didn't really like this segment that much. I think they maybe should have built it as a no disqualification match anyway, because I think that would have made it a little bit more interesting, considering they did use the kendo stick in a big factor during one of the segments when they were building this feud. I think it would have been better if they built it as a no disqualification match, but it was working as a heelish character for Paul Heyman. But he also buried Curtis Axel in doing that as well, because he was just saying, well, I'm expecting Curtis Axel to get defeated. So he did kind of bury Curtis Axel by saying this, but apart from that, we rolled on with the match. We started with 3MB taking on Tons of Funk, and straight away, Tons of Funk defeated 3MB in a roll-up pin. Obviously, 3MB or Tons of Funk weren't going to win this match, but as soon as the Real Americans came to the ring, it was absolutely hilarious. They ran down to the ring with the flags and everything. It was so weird. They were completely out of control. But the match itself between the Real Americans And Tons of Funk was actually pretty good. It was actually entertaining. Tons of Funk got defeated by the Real Americans, by Jack Swagger getting his Patriot locked in. It was really, really fast-paced, but what was the most fast-paced match out of all of them was the Usos versus the Real Americans. I thought this match was really, really good, but of course, guess what was going to happen? The Usos were actually going to get defeated by the Real Americans. I thought the Usos were going to win. The Usos got defeated by the Real Americans. By one of the Usos jumped off the top rope, and Jack Swagger got the Patriot locked in. It was actually a really, really good maneuver, actually. Surprisingly, I really, really liked this ending, even though I didn't like the fact that Usos got defeated by the Real Americans. And then, of course, the Primetime Players went on to win this by Titus getting his, well, actually it was Darren Young getting his finisher, and the reaction wasn't that great. I mean, I was expecting the Usos to win here, guys, because obviously the Primetime Players are already in the middle of getting a face turn, and if they're going to go into this obvious certain loss against the Shield within the pay-per-view, they're obviously going to go into this match. It ended actually being a squash match, so really, they just went on to lose all that momentum in that pay-per-view match against the Shield, and I also thought that the Usos, they could suffer one more loss to the Shield. The Primetime Players, they had a lot of momentum after this face turn, and then they went into a squash match against the Shield to lose. So I didn't really agree with the fact that they gave the Primetime Players the win here, but they kind of kept the momentum for the Primetime Players. Hopefully they'll have some bigger plans for the Primetime Players, but they lost complete momentum after getting squashed to the Shield later on in the show. But actually on the full show, they showed a great promo for the Night of Champions. In the first 15 minutes, we had Triple H make an announcement. He was actually being really face-ish in this promo, which is really, really weird. He got some cheap pop by saying hi to Detroit, Michigan. It was just really weird for Triple H to be doing this kind of face promo. But Paul Heyman came out, and the only real thing we got from this was the match between Kofi Kingston and Curtis Axel. I think they only did this match because Curtis Axel was the Intercontinental Champion, but Kofi Kingston was actually on the actual poster holding the Intercontinental Championship. So I think that was the only reason why they made Kofi have a match against Curtis Axel. But it was kind of weird because I thought, well, if Kofi Kingston is going to have this match now, maybe this will be the only title change, because I didn't predict a title change throughout the actual show. So I thought, well, maybe this is going to be the title change in the Night of Champions pay-per-view. But actually, Kofi Kingston didn't actually defeat Curtis Axel, and Curtis Axel actually defeated Kofi Kingston in an actually really, really long match. It was about 20 minutes. I think half an hour into the show, we'd only had this match and a really, really long promo or segment between Paul Heyman and Triple H, which was really, really boring. I didn't really like the match, to be honest. I didn't think they had great chemistry during the actual match, but Curtis Axel managed to win with his normal finisher. And personally, I think they dropped the ball here. I think if Curtis Axel was going to lose to Kofi Kingston, I think that would have built the hype for the match between Paul Heyman, CM Punk and Curtis Axel, where, well, Curtis Axel fucked up, and I mean, Paul Heyman was going into this match already on a downer. I think it would have built the Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman match a lot more, but they made Curtis Axel retain here. I thought my initial thought was that Curtis Axel was going to get defeated by Kofi, so it was one title change, because I hate seeing pay-per-views where you don't have a title change. It just feels weird. But Kofi Kingston got defeated by Curtis Axel. I think they dropped the ball here. They could have made Kofi Kingston win against Curtis Axel, and then we're all relying on CM Punk to defeat Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman later in the show, and that was really where Paul Heyman kind of lost his mojo and kind of disrupted what we're used to seeing Paul Heyman. It kind of made a bit of a, oh, Paul Heyman's really losing his mojo. I think it would have created for a bit more interesting match later on in the show, but they made Curtis Axel win. Boring match, 5 out of 10. The crowd didn't really care, to be honest. So the next match was the Divas match, my hottie AJ Lee. Now, before this match, we actually had 2 promos or segments between Rob Van Dam and Ricardo Rodriguez, keeping that face turn for Ricardo Rodriguez. I thought they were building some chemistry up between Ricardo Rodriguez later for a swerve between Ricardo Rodriguez and Rob Van Dam, but we didn't get that. It was basically cheap. Speaking Spanish, it was a bit weird. And then we had a promo with Layla, Aksana, Alicia Fox and AJ Lee backstage, and they said they weren't going to help AJ Lee, my babe AJ Lee. And then we had the match between Natalya, Naomi, Brie Bella, who looked hot actually, and AJ Lee, who looked hot of course. Now I didn't actually agree with how they started this actual pay-per-view. I mean, you had a boring match between Curtis Axel and Kofi Kingston, and then you had a Divas match, which is okay. It was kind of built okay, but I mean, Divas match should come later in the show when you need to get the crowd going within the first 2 matches. And the Curtis Axel and Kofi Kingston match, which wasn't built at all, and then you have the Divas match, which were already going to the toilet. You just didn't build it very well. I just didn't think it was 2 great matches to get the crowd behind the actual show. But the match itself was quite entertaining. They all went after AJ, you little dicks. But actually, the match itself was quite good. There's a few botches where Naomi went off the top rope and missed Natalya. Natalya got in the double submission maneuver, which actually looked pretty good. She's actually done that before at Royal Rumble 2010, the sharpshooter, and the double sharpshooter looked pretty cool. But then AJ Lee got in her Black Widow and won. To be honest, I didn't think anybody else apart from AJ Lee deserved to pick up the Divas title here. I don't think Natalya deserved to win it over Brie Bella or Naomi, so I thought the correct decision was AJ Lee. Personally, I'd like to see Natalya versus AJ Lee at Battlegrounds, an actual well-built match between Natalya and AJ Lee. Well, Natalya could basically say, well, I had it won, and then you kind of nicked it off me. I don't know, but I'd actually be down to see that match. The match itself was pretty good. I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It was quite entertaining. At the end of the day, AJ Lee was obviously going to win. It was just to get the Total Divas relevant on the actual show. And that was pretty much that. For the next match, we actually had Rob Van Dam versus Alberto Del Rio. I thought this probably should have started the actual show. It was a decent, well-built match and actually a very entertaining match. The Christian versus Alberto Del Rio match at SummerSlam was great, and this was great as well. I think this should have started the show. The crowd was quite behind it as well between Rob Van Dam, because he's from Michigan, from Battle Creek. So it's actually a pretty good match. I think this should have started the show. The crowd was behind it, and I was actually really, really happy how this match went. Of course, Alberto Del Rio was going to retain because Rob Van Dam is going to go after this pay-per-view. Maybe one more pay-per-view match in Rob Van Dam. But the actual match was actually pretty good. Alberto Del Rio did actually retain by getting himself disqualified. I think that killed the crowd a bit. They struggled to get the crowd after that. It did kind of kill the crowd slightly after Alberto Del Rio got himself disqualified by keeping that cross-arm breaker on for the 5 count. And then Rob Van Dam got the actual Van Terminator, or the Coast to Coast, across the ring onto the chair. Actually, I was kind of surprised Damien Sandow didn't cash in here, but I wasn't surprised because it was a heel-on-heel cash-in. It does look like Rob Van Dam might be in with another title match against Alberto Del Rio. To be honest, I'd really, really like to see Alberto Del Rio drop this title sooner or later, because I just think he's boring. I think we need a change with the title. But I also don't think Damien Sandow's the man to have that title. And I also don't think Rob Van Dam's going to do it either, because he's going to be going soon, because he's been around for about 3 months and he's only signed a 3-month contract, so he'll be going for a bit as well. So honestly, I don't know what they're going to do with the world title. The match itself was an 8 out of 10. It was a really, really good match. I like the Coast to Coast at the end. That was really, really cool. Maybe they're just going to keep with the title match between Rob Van Dam and Alberto Del Rio. I don't know. I was half expecting a cash-in. The start of the night, I wasn't expecting a cash-in, but after he hit the Coast to Coast, I was like, maybe. But I think they were just teasing at that. I think they really need to start making Damien Sandow a little bit more relevant. So maybe they'll bring him into the World Heavyweight title picture. Or maybe they'll bring Cody Rhodes into the title picture tonight on Monday Night Raw. I don't know, but the match itself was good. It was an 8 out of 10, but at the end of the day, Alberto Del Rio was going to retain. I don't understand why they went for the Coast to Coast. They'll need to explain that on Monday Night Raw, apart from the fact that it would have been a Damien Sandow cash-in that they didn't actually end up doing. I don't understand why he did the Coast to Coast. Maybe they'll get another second match. But we rolled on with the pay-per-view where Triple H was questioning whether Randy Orton was worthy of being the face of the WWE. Then we got The Miz versus Fandango. Yawn. I mean, it felt like the reaction from the crowd was literally a SmackDown reaction. The crowd did not give a donkey's dick about this match. It was so lame. They had okay chemistry, but I honestly didn't even watch it. The Miz won with a simple 3.5 figure 4. The crowd really wasn't into it at all. I was just staring at Summer Rae's legs the whole match, because she is hot, of course. But honestly, the match didn't mean anything. I mean, I think they could have done a lot more with this match. They could have built it a lot more. But to have an unannounced match at a pay-per-view, I never agreed with their matches, especially to have The Miz in this match. And honestly, it was just to get the crowd behind the faces and probably build up the CM Punk. It was kind of like a cooler match for the CM Punk and Curtis Axel match. But it was pointless. 1 out of 10. No reason why they should have done that match. I was really, really disappointed in that match because it was just an unannounced match. I was expecting it to be on the card, and then they just did an unannounced match, which was kind of okay. They had decent chemistry, but at the end of the day, it was just a waste of a bit of time. It didn't really do anything. The crowd really didn't care. They still think The Miz is a bit of a draw. He isn't. I think Fandango's worthy of a push. Imagine if he didn't get injured back at Payback. Maybe he would be the Intercontinental Champion. But then we have the Intercontinental Championship, Curtis Axel and Paul Heyman teaming up to take on CM Punk, which is an absolutely awesome match. I really, really like this match. I think it was a great match. I really, really like this match. It was awesome. I mean, it was pretty much a kendo stick match. And it was actually a really, really entertaining match. I quite liked it. I mean, Curtis Axel got eliminated after CM Punk hit the GTS and the Anaconda Vice. And then Paul Heyman was in his own against CM Punk. And honestly, I thought the match itself before Curtis Axel was eliminated was really, really good. I was happy with the build towards the match. The crowd was really, really behind CM Punk. And I was really, really happy with the actual match. Kudos to CM Punk for getting a good reaction and Curtis Axel getting a good reaction. I thought Paul Heyman played a good part in this by doing a few faces and a few reactions to what CM Punk was doing in the ring. He was a good actor. I mean, at the end of the day, we all knew a new Paul Heyman guy was gonna get announced, which ended up being Ryback. Yeah, Ryback. Yeah, Ryback. Exactly. Yeah, I know. I didn't expect Ryback. I mean, finally the pointless promos and segments have finally been answered because maybe they were just keeping him on a downer so that they could bring him into this Paul Heyman scheme. Because honestly, I think it was genius. I thought as soon as Paul Heyman was on his own with CM Punk, I was just waiting for the new Paul Heyman guy to come out. Before Curtis Axel got eliminated, I thought that bit was pretty good. He got a good reaction. Both of them did get a good reaction. And I was just waiting for the new Paul Heyman guy to get unveiled. And then the new Paul Heyman guy, Ryback, was finally unveiled when Paul Heyman got handcuffed by CM Punk. And then Ryback got in the ring and put CM Punk through the table. And Paul Heyman was dragged onto CM Punk by Paul Heyman. And then he got the 1-2-3 pin. I thought it was genius. I mean, for the past few months, we've seen Ryback just being no relevance whatsoever, having pointless promos backstage, pointless segments, and then finally, bang, like that, you're like, wait a minute, Ryback? Exactly, it was genius because we thought as Ryback is having this pointless gimmick, and then bang, he's in this new Paul Heyman guy. We all thought it was going to be some new NXT guy. We all thought Vicky Guerrero was going to sign up Ryback, but then bang, Ryback. I know, it's pretty insane. I mean, they were keeping with this stupid gimmick where Ryback did an interview on Friday Night SmackDown and then keeping it as if he's not really relevant within their plans, and then he comes up and helps Paul Heyman get a victory over his arch enemy, CM Punk. It was actually really, really well thought out. I thought it was really, really clever. Well done to WWE for doing something well. I think it was out of nowhere. It was unexpected. Very, very good. And Paul Heyman got the win. I expected that. I thought Punk would put over Curtis Axel, which he didn't actually put over Curtis Axel that well. I thought it was pretty much all CM Punk, which I was kind of disappointed at. I mean, I don't really see this feud going on any longer between Curtis Axel and CM Punk because CM Punk didn't put over Curtis Axel that well, so expect Curtis Axel to have an Intercontinental Championship match against probably Kofi Kingston, something like that at Battlegrounds, because Battlegrounds is only 2 to 3 weeks away, so do expect a short-built match for Kofi Kingston and Curtis Axel, because I didn't think CM Punk put over Curtis Axel that well, as much as I thought he would anyway. But we've got a new Paul Heyman guy, Ryback. You expected that to be answered on Monday Night Raw, because remember, Paul Heyman signed Ryback to help CM Punk win, but obviously Paul Heyman signed him, not CM Punk, so it was pretty clever, and I like that. So Paul Heyman's new Paul Heyman guy is Ryback. Could he be within a World Heavyweight title shot? I don't know. I'd be excited for that. I'd actually really, really like that. So Ryback put CM Punk through a table. Wow, that was really, really cool. Oh my god, I don't know, it was just so unexpected, genius. And the next match was Dolph Ziggler versus Dean Ambrose, which was actually a pretty good match. I quite liked it, but it was all Dean Ambrose. This night was all about the Corporation 2.0, putting over them as being great talents. You got the Shield looking great, and you had Randy Orton looking great, even though he went and lost, which is really, really surprising. Daniel Bryan, the new WWE champion, wow. But Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler was great. It was a really, really good match, but Dean Ambrose was obviously going to win. For the CM Punk and Curtis Axel match, by the way, I'd probably give that an 8 out of 10. I thought it was pretty good. For this match, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I thought if it had good build, it would have been one of the best matches of the night, because I thought the match quality was actually really, really good. I actually really, really enjoyed this match. I thought it was actually pretty entertaining, but at the end of the day, Dean Ambrose was going to win. He pretty much squashed Dolph Ziggler, sadly, but he looked good, he looks relevant, he looks powerful, and he looks like he could be the real deal and could still be used in the main event spot with the Corporation 2.0. I was expecting this. I was expecting a good match by Dean Ambrose, so he looks relevant and still could be used in the main event spot. And of course, Dean Ambrose did actually retain his United States title. Now, the next match was the Primetime Players versus the Shield, which sadly, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins did actually squash the Shield. They did it kind of clever. The referee was distracted, and then one of the Primetime Players, which I think was Darren Young, got shielded. He got speared, so the referee was distracted, so they kind of didn't get defeated, so kind of they didn't lose a lot of momentum. They weren't really defeated. But at the end of the day, it was quite a squash match, really. It was a quick match. It was only a 5-minute match. I didn't really watch a lot of the match because it was kind of boring, and I knew the Shield were going to win. It was kind of the story of the whole night, really. I knew that everybody was going to pretty much retain their titles. We had no changes of titles, and I knew this was going to happen as well, but I thought it was clever for them to spear. It was actually Titus O'Neil who got speared, so the referee just was distracted. So really, the Primetime Players didn't really win. They didn't lose a lot of momentum by getting distracted by the referee. I thought that was kind of clever, but at the end of the day, we all know the Primetime Players got squashed. Lost a bit of momentum. I mean, I think they would have been ready at Battlegrounds, but one pay-per-view in between for you to make a face turn, and that's squashed on a pay-per-view by the Shield for the tag team titles, who really, the Shield haven't really looked that great for the last few months. To get squashed by them isn't that great, so I was quite disappointed for the Primetime Players in this match. Yeah, I was quite disappointed, really. I mean, they got squashed. I thought the Usos could have done with one more loss, but the fact that Titus got speared and it didn't really look like a loss for the Primetime Players was kind of clever, but at the end of the day, they got squashed. So 6 out of 10 for that match. The Shield, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins were obviously going to retain. So now it was ready for the main event for the WWE Championship. It was actually a really, really... I actually thought it was a disappointing match, apart from the last 5 minutes. I mean, the referee took a bump and took about 10 minutes to actually get back in the ring, which is kind of weird. The match itself was actually kind of boring. I didn't think it was that great. I felt it was actually... I don't know... I thought all the hype going into this match, I was expecting it to be a good match. I was expecting Randy Orton to look really good, and the new stipulation where there was no interference was kind of weird. It was kind of weird that Triple H was sticking up for Daniel Bryan, even though for the past weeks he's just been completely... He got Big Show to knock him out and stuff, and they were even contemplating giving Daniel Bryan this match. And then for Triple H to turn around and be like, Randy Orton, you should prove that you actually deserve the WWE Championship. And then... Daniel Bryan goes and wins. I was like, well, you were actually contemplating not letting Daniel Bryan have this match, and then you let Daniel Bryan have a fair match. It was kind of weird, but the match itself was actually kind of disappointing. I didn't think the match itself was that entertaining, to be honest. I thought there was so much hype, there was so much anticipation going into this match on who could win. I personally thought it was definitely going to be Randy Orton, and then I was so surprised when Daniel Bryan won. But I was also more surprised really when Michael Cole didn't talk about the fast pin by the referee. It was literally like that. I thought he was going to talk about the fast pin a lot more. They didn't even mention the fast pin. I don't know why they didn't mention the fast pin, because that was the whole reason why Daniel Bryan won. The referee was sticking up for the WWE Universe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do on Monday Night Raw. I expect the referee to probably get fired. I don't know. But I think he was sticking up for the WWE Universe, something like that. I think it was very, very clever. I didn't like how they didn't talk about it, though. I mean, the fans... I mean, I was expecting from them to make a big deal about the fact that he made a fast count, but they didn't even talk about it. I mean, what was the point of doing a fast count if you're not even going to talk about it? But obviously they're going to talk about that on Monday Night Raw, but why didn't you make that the ending segment on Night of Champions? And Daniel Bryan wins to a fast count, and then it goes off. They didn't even mention the fast count, which I thought was really, really weird. But Daniel Bryan is the new WWE Champion. He got a great reaction from the crowd as well when he came out. Randy Orton... mixed reaction, actually. He didn't get much of a heel reaction, really. It was slightly mixed. But honestly, the match itself was pretty boring. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Thanks to the fact that Daniel Bryan now is the WWE Champion, which is absolutely crazy. Wow. Now, I think two things why he was the WWE Champion, because I didn't think he would. I thought Randy Orton would look strong in this pay-per-view because they're building the Corporation 2.0. You'd expect Randy Orton to look strong, the Corporation to look strong, the Shield looks strong, so why didn't Randy Orton look strong? I don't know. There's a few rumours that he did actually pick up a shoulder injury, that shoulder injury he's always had. During the match, I saw Weiser said that and Smalls said that on Twitter. Or the fact that they're going to make Daniel Bryan drop it next on tonight's Monday Night Raw, straight after the pay-per-view. I don't know, there's something that makes me wonder maybe they will. That's why they downplayed the 3 count, and then they're going to make him get in a match with Randy Orton, and then he's going to lose his title. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of wondering that. Or he did pick up a shoulder injury, Randy Orton, and then that's going to make their plans go into turmoil. I don't know. Or they're just making the referee an excuse for him to get fired. I don't know. I think it could be a good way to make a good story out of this. I mean, I'd like to see the referee get involved in this storyline. Maybe Triple H fires him, maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I was expecting a swerve where maybe the referee would help Randy Orton win. Maybe Triple H paid him. So I thought I was kind of surprised with this swerve. So I don't know. Maybe they're going to make the referee get fired. Maybe they're going to have a go at Daniel Bryan for manipulating the referee. Maybe Triple H was in this all along. You know, maybe Triple H was is the face. Maybe that's why he made his face promo at the start of the show. Maybe we're going to get Vince versus Triple H at WrestleMania 29. Maybe Triple H has made a face turn. Could all happen, guys. I don't know. That's a bit of a way to end my review of Night of Champions 2013, which I actually thought was disappointing. Apart from the last segment where Daniel Bryan celebrated with the crowd. I thought it was absolutely epic. I thought it was awesome. Thanks to WWE for finally giving the championship to Daniel Bryan. Thanks for watching my WWE Night of Champions 2013 review. I've really enjoyed doing this review. I didn't really enjoy the show, actually. I thought the last match was an 8 out of 10, but the actual show was a 6 or 7 out of 10. I don't really enjoy it that much. I thought that the last match was okay. I like the result. The match qualities for all the matches weren't that great. I thought there isn't really a lot they can do with anything else apart from the new Paul Heyman guy, Ryback, and the last main event. I think everything else needs to be started from scratch, even though Battlegrounds is about 2 or 3 weeks away. So they're going to have to start building it on Monday Night Raw, which is going to be a bit of a squeeze to fit all these builds into one pay-per-view, which is in about 2 to 3 weeks. So I don't know. I don't think they could do a lot with the other storylines they did at Night of Champions, apart from the CM Punk and Paul Heyman match and the new Paul Heyman guy Ryback and the Randy Orton and the quick count by the referee, if anybody else actually picked that up. I mean, Michael Cole completely forgot about it. He's probably going to get fired by Triple H in the morning. I don't know. That was really weird. But anyway, I didn't think the match qualities were that great. I think a few of the matches at the start weren't really thought out that match. I think I would have preferred the world titles to start the actual pay-per-view. Get the crowd behind it. But I thought the ending was great with Daniel Bryan. Hopefully you've enjoyed this review, guys. 6 out of 10 for WWE Night of Champions 2013. Thanks for watching. Take care. Spite your hair. And goodbye. Good night. I'm hoping to have a night's sleep. I'm probably going to get about 1 hour before I go to college. Lol. Thanks for watching and goodbye.